Thanks to those joining me live and to those that be joining me on archive. DStyle here. Check this out. Now, a while back, QuestX had done a video saying why he's a democratic socialist slash progressive, and I like the video. You guys can check it out, but I kind of wanted to do my own video about this because, of course, I do political videos. I give my thoughts, but I wanted to kind of just dive in onto why I would categorize myself if I was forced to categorize myself. And notice I say that for a reason, right? But we'll get to that. But if I was forced to categorize myself in a political sense, right? It would be that I'm a progressive, right? That's how I would, categorize myself. Does that mean that, if a group of progressives made a platform and put it out there, that I would agree 100% with everything that they say? No, right? Because you cannot. I honestly believe that if everybody's honest with themselves and everyone does their research and to a certain point, I know a lot of people are busy. Like, you don't got time to research shit all day, right? But what I'm saying is, if you do enough to establish your opinion, even if you're on the same political spectrum, you're going to have disagreements on things, right? So, like me, there are certain things I'm conservative about. There's certain things, and there's certain things I'm a liberal about, right? But overall, again, if I were to categorize myself, I would call myself a progressive, right? And let me explain why, at least from my perspective, right? And you see, I do believe that if you look at our society and you look at, like specifically the United States, right? I do believe there's many things we need improvement on, right? And I think most people see that. There's many things we need to improve on in terms of policy, especially. So, and why do I say that? So, in order for us to understand, why we have the issues that we have, the problems that we have, right? We need to acknowledge the root of those problems, right? What is the cause of these issues so we can get to the root of it and solve it, right? You ever cut weeds? And I grew up in a little small town of Socorro, Texas, okay? Not a lot of cement around, okay? There was a lot of weeds that would grow, okay? So when I was a kid, Mom would tell me, go cut the weeds. Now, if I wanted to be lazy, I'll just cut the top of the weed from the ground up, right? From the surface of the ground with a shovel or something. But what would happen? That weed will grow back up. And not only would it grow, it would go bigger and stronger, right? It wouldn't, not only would it not solve the problem, it would make the problem worse. So I was taught to take it out by the root. So you eliminate the issue altogether. And you eliminate it doesn't mean, if you pull it out by the roots, it doesn't mean you're going to eliminate the weeds forever. It doesn't mean weeds are exterminated from the yard for life. That's not what it means. But you're helping the issue. You're making the problem. You're not making it worse. You're making it better, right? I believe in tackling the root of the problem in everything. I believe in that. Now, that's not why I'm a progressive, but it's going to lead me to the following, right? One, let's talk about the war on drugs, okay? The war on drugs is a problem, right? That's what it is. So I'm not even going to touch on the reason why the drug war was started. Because at this point, it's pointless. Okay, why go back to the Nixon administration? We don't have to do all that. All we have to see is that it hasn't worked. All right, it has not worked at all. Not for what we want anyway. Right? It works for private prisons, for-profit private prisons. It works for that, right? But it doesn't work for what we were told the purpose was, to get rid of all the drugs. Well, we're not getting rid of drugs in this country whatsoever. Now, how long do we continue with this war till we realize, you know what, we're not getting rid of the drugs? We're not eliminating drug addicts. We're not eliminating drug dealers. No matter how many drug dealers we arrest, for every drug dealer we arrest, 2 more pop up. We're not eliminating this problem. And this is just domestically. Look at what it's doing to the streets. Look at what it's doing to big cities. It's not helping anybody. We're incarcerating at record numbers, okay, non-violent offenders. Just think about that. You know, if you were to go back when societies were starting to get created and the idea of creating prisons were a thought, right? You know, it's you're thinking to yourself, well, we want to, you know, who do you want to lock up? Like if they told you, who are the 4 types of people that we should lock up, right? Somebody should stand up and say murderers. We got to lock up murderers. Whoever commits murders, he needs to get locked up. I agree, right? Somebody should stand up and say rapists. We need rapists in fucking jail. I agree. We got to lock up those damn rapists, right? Like, are you telling me that the third person you're going to shout out is, oh, we got to lock up dudes that smoke weed? Those dudes are a menace to the society, right? Oh, somebody who's sniffing cocaine, we got to lock them up. Is that really going to be number 3? No, right? You're probably going to say child molesters or something, right? I would think, you know. And number 4, I would think maybe dudes that rob banks, right? Like or, you know, armed robbery or something like that. You know, like you would think. I mean, I would have to go pretty high up the list. Like, forget 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Before I even think about locking people that do drugs and all that shit. Okay, before I even think about that. Okay, I have, you know, disturbing the peace. I mean, there's so many other things that I would lock people up for. Yet, drugs are the number 1 reason why we're locking people up in this country. It's the number 1 reason. That is a problem. So now, are we going to look at the effect of the issue and then attack the effect full on, right? That's what people on the right do, right? Oh, what do you got to do? You got to get harder on the criminals. You know what we got to do? We got to stop giving them more years in prison. You know, like 3 years in prison isn't enough. You can get them 10 years, right? Let's do 3 strikes, you're out, and you're in jail for life. You know, let's just do that. You know, let's get tougher and we'll eliminate the issue. It doesn't work, right? You get tougher and tougher and tougher. It's not going to work, right? In the Philippines, they're legally assassinating, right, people that do drugs, and it's not stopping people from doing drugs, right? In Saudi Arabia, they behead, okay, drug dealers. It hasn't stopped people from selling drugs in Saudi Arabia, right? So this idea that we're going to eliminate the problem by getting tougher on the punishments because we're tackling the effect of the issue, that's not resolving anything. It's not. The problem, and I'm just talking domestically. I'm not even touching on the drug wars, okay, on the cartels in South America. I'm not even touching on all that, right? And how that's tied to legal immigration, right? I'm not even touching on that. I'm just talking domestically. I want to get rid of the drug war. That's what I want to get rid of. It's the only people I believe that should get locked up regarding drugs is someone who sells hard drugs to underage kids. That's it. If a grown-ass adult buys drugs, that's on them. I'm just being honest, right? Weed should be legalized. All arguments I've heard against weed could be made about alcohol. People want to, you know, people want to drink out their martini, okay, and judge people that smoke weed. I mean, it's insane, right? But at the end of the day, that's just one of the issues that I feel strongly about. And I always hear like people bring up arguments for the drug war as if I haven't heard them already, right? Like I'm aware, right? When they say, well, we can't legalize drugs, college kids are going to overdose on them. Let me tell you something, right? There is not one person on this in this country, right? Not one that does not smoke weed simply because it's illegal. There's not one person that does that. Not one person has said, man, I would totally be doing, cocaine if it was legal. Man, if heroin was no longer, like if it was no longer, I think legalized is a strong word. Okay. And I know there's some even debate within that. Okay. But if it was decriminalized, there is a difference, right? But if it was decriminalized, is the best word I could put, right? Man, if they decriminalized heroin, I would be doing that shit every day. I would be doing it every day. If they like, there's no one that says that, right? Like, that's just not a thing. It just isn't. And if there is, it's a small percentage, right? For the problems that it's causing, I think we'll be all right. Okay. Now, with that said, that's one issue, right? College. Now, do we have to improve our education system? Yes, we do, right? And I think that there are many things that we could improve on when it comes to the education system, right? Now, me, I'm a firm believer that we have to reform our schools and prepare kids for things that are relevant to when they get out of high school, right? Now, that's another issue, but like I think kids should learn about accounting. I think kids should learn how to do taxes. Okay, I think those are the type of classes that people need to be taking. Okay, I even think self-defense should be available to learn in schools, right? But that aside, right? We already do free schools, right? And now we're already used to it. Like we're used to the thought of public schools, right? So it's all that. All that's just kind of like grandfathered in, right, in our minds. But for 4 more years, just 4 more years of schooling, which is the most important schooling, right? The thought of doing that tuition free for every kid in America is baffling, right? Like people act like it's just impractical, like it can't be done. Like, we can't do that. Are you crazy? Now, there's different people that feel that way for different reasons, right? There's some, from older generations, right, that say, man, I worked my way through college. I had a part-time job and I went to college, right? Yeah, when college was practically free, bro. Okay, it wasn't that expensive back then. It was affordable. Okay, like this idea. Okay, you could. It's as simple as researching it. How much college cost in the 70s, right? All right, but that said, the most important take here is in the current job market, right? The equivalent of a high school diploma, of what a high school diploma was like in the 80s, the 70s, right? Today in the year 2018, the equivalent is a bachelor's degree, right? Now, we could sit here and look, I'm open to a debate on what we have to do to improve schools. I'm open to a debate about all that stuff, okay? Now, spare me the right-wing talking points like, oh, they're conditioning the kids. Like, yeah, they'll say it's all projection with them because they want to push creationism into science class. While they do that, they want to accuse liberals of trying to precondition kids, okay? But that aside, right? Okay, like the schools in the South where they want to basically remove the reality that there was slavery in this country. Okay, and refer to the slaves as immigrants and stuff like that. I mean, this it's always projection with them. But with that said, I'm just that aside, I'm open to improving our school system, right? And better preparing kids so we have a higher success rate in college. Okay, that's important, right? That way they're more productive into our workforce, right? And yes, there's a lot of pointless, degrees out there that are a waste of money that kids are taking. Like, I get all that. Those are things we can tackle. But this idea, though, right, that we cannot, give the same opportunity to everyone, like only the kids that were lucky enough to have rich parents are guaranteed college, right? Every other kid has to be like exceptional in school, all right, and get a scholarship or get themselves in ridiculous debt to the banks, right, in order to go to college. I mean, that is absolutely insane. It's asinine, right? Now, there are certain things that I believe. I do believe that it is to a certain degree healthy for someone to kind of work their way through something. So by all means, and maybe I'm not left enough for some people in this aspect, but I'm okay with the books not being free. You got to buy your own, you got to buy the books or what have you, get some used ones or all that. I'm all for that. Okay. I'm not saying that dorms should be absolutely free. Like that's not what I'm saying. I just think the tuition should be free. That's it. Right. Now with that said, okay, if you want to charge some of it, like a 5%, 10%, whatever it is, okay, we could talk. But with this idea that we cannot do tuition-free college because that's crazy. How are we going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for this, right? First of all, everyone would qualify for it, right? So whether you come from a rich family, poor family, everybody will get tuition-free college, right? And that makes perfect sense because, well, what if you do come from a rich family, right? But you're the stepson of your father, and your father's the one with money. He doesn't want to pay for your college. Then what happens then, right? So we can't just assume that just because somebody comes from a rich family that they're going to get help from the parents. We can't just assume that, okay? Now, of course, I'm not saying like everybody should get tuition-free college to Harvard or Princeton. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm specifically talking about like, community colleges in your town and stuff like that. But that aside, why is it crazy? Like the way people react, it's not like they don't even want to have a conversation about it. Like, no. Like the ones that argue the most against it are the ones that are in debt because of it, right? Because they're bitter, right? It's like, if I'm in debt, they should get in debt too. Like that's going to solve a lot of problems, right? Look, I think that college kids that are in debt right now, right, especially the ones that just finished paying off their debt, man, they're the ones the most against it, right? It's like the people that are most argue against raising the minimum wage, right? The ones that are angry about the minimum wage being raised to $15 an hour. It's never the people that are making like $40 an hour. Like those people don't care. It's always like the ones that are making like $13 an hour that are against it, right? it's just the way it is, right? But anyway, tuition-free college, right? We need to equip our future generations to have better jobs, okay? And keep in mind, not every kid's going to go to college, right? So you got to keep that in mind. But not only that, guaranteeing college, not to a doctorate level or PhD, just to at least a bachelor's degree to every kid out there, all right? If we were to do that, it would cost less than the increase in military spending that we just had. Like, nobody reacts to that. I do a video about Stormy Daniels. Everybody shows up to the video. Oh, Alan Mayo, you're so funny, DStyle. He raw dogged the porn star. That's hilarious, right? DStyle does a video about Democrats and Republicans making a bill to raise the military spending by $82 billion. Some of you cared, most of you didn't care. It's just the truth. I'm just being honest. All right. So we could put money in the pockets of, warmongers, right? We could put money in the pockets of the military industrial complex. We can do that all day, right? We can, and not only give them the money, like audit free too. Like here's the money. Okay, here's the increase to your budget. The increase alone, I'm not talking the entire budget, just the increase alone would make us the second largest military power in the world. Just the increase. Like only China would be beating us. But now, with this increase, we are spending more than the next 10 nations combined. Now, you got to get the next 10 nations combined and add them up, and we're spending more than them. That's crazy. We're spending more than a third of the military money that's spent in military in the world. We got money for that all day, right? Sending kids to college, we're not even going to have a conversation about it. Bombing kids in foreign countries, man, let's talk about that. Okay, no problem. I'm not even going to blink an eyelash. I'm not even going to blink an eyelash, right? For that, who cares about that? Okay. The only time people start asking how we're going to afford that, the only time, right, is to help the poor, right? Pay for kids' college, right, and healthcare. Those are the only times people ask, "Oh, that's impractical. We cannot do that." That's the only time people mention this shit. Why else am I a progressive? I believe, this is what I believe, okay? Now, everybody always accuses progressives of wanting everything handed to them and that they want handouts. And look, I've never had a handout in my life, okay? So let me just make that clear. Now, I like the terminologies of handouts. And look, I believe, all right, that if you work a full-time job, this is what I believe. I'm not talking if you're sitting on your ass doing nothing. No. What I'm saying is if you work a full-time job, 40 plus hours a week of your life, right, that you work hard every week, okay, I believe you should have a living wage. I believe you should be able to afford the necessities of life, right? Not luxuries, necessities, okay? I'm not saying, if you have a full-time job, you should have a mansion, okay? I'm not saying that if you have a full-time job, okay, you should have 5 Camaros, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you work a full-time job, if you put in hard work for 40 plus hours a week, that you should afford necessities. It should be a living wage. And I honestly don't even know why this is controversial, right? There's people that scoff at that. They're like, "Oh, poof, living wage. Are you kidding me? Like what's wrong with that? What do you mean?" Now, look, one disagreement I have is with the raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I have a disagreement with that. I think it depends on the cost of living in your area. That's what it should be based on, right? There's some cities in this country or some towns where $12 an hour would be a living wage, right? There's some places where you need at least $19 an hour for it to be a living wage, but that's what we need. What is so crazy about that? And how does it impact everybody else? So why should I subsidize Walmart, right, which is the biggest corporation as far as here in the States, right, one of the biggest employers? Why should I subsidize them and Amazon while they're making record-breaking profits, by the way, right? Why should I subsidize them? Oh, how do you subsidize them? Well, because their employees can't afford basic necessities. Now, what makes me a progressive is that, look, I will never, like, you will never hear DStyle knock anyone who's working hard and having a tough time paying the bills. You might see me knock people that are sitting on their ass and don't want to work. Okay, you might see that. That's different. But somebody who's working a full-time job should not have to rely on government assistance, right, in order just to get by, just to feed their kids. Walmart should be paying them a good enough wage to where they can afford that. But they get away with not paying them enough, and their employees are able to have some form of a living wage just because they're getting subsidized by the government, right? That's a form of, okay, the freeloaders here is Walmart. Now, people don't want to see it that way, okay? Like everybody just, wants to hate or whatever, but I'm just keeping it real, right? So that's another thing, a living wage, which, by the way, I can't even believe that's controversial, right? Now, there's people out there that argue against that, right? Oh, poof, living wage, keep working hard, and blah, 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 blah. Like, who are you to say they're not working hard? A lot of people out there work very hard, right? They actually work pretty hard. Living wage. Like, I'm not saying everybody should get $40 an hour. Like, no, I'm just saying they should have a living wage, right? Why else am I a progressive? Healthcare, right? This is the big one. Now, we can, I'm not even saying that I'm not open to suggestions or anything like that here, right? I'm not even saying I know everything. But what I do know is that our goal in this country should be that everyone, if they get sick, right, if there's a major illness that they get hit with, like cancer or something of that nature, right, that could be very life-changing, or they're in need of a surgery, or whatever the case is, they should be covered, all right? It's we should be able to all collectively cover all of our asses. That's what I'm saying. So not all of us are going to get cancer, right? So there's 300 million people in this country. If we all collectively pitch in, right, like no one is going to be like, oh, I want to take advantage of the system. I'm going to give myself cancer. That's just not going to happen, right? And I honestly believe that no one should go bankrupt because it's the hospital bills are piling up and their insurance doesn't want to cover this type of procedure, but that type of procedure was necessary in order to save their life, and they ended up doing a surgery because they had to save their life. The insurance company didn't cover it, so now here they are owing $500,000 in hospital bills. So they declared bankruptcy. They lost a house. They lost. There's just no reason for that, right? That is absolute. That's asinine. The fact that is happening in this country is simply, it's just not necessary. And I'm getting tired of people saying that we cannot do universal health care in any way, shape, or form. The fear mongering of it is insane. Okay. Now, I believe in somewhat of a hybrid system. Okay. I think it should be a kind of like, now, I understand this isn't as serious of a scale, but it's a large industry, and it's shipping, right? Kind of like we have the government runs the U.S. Postal Service, right? And they do shipping, but we also have UPS and then there's FedEx, right? So there's competition there. I think there should be some type of hybrid system like that. I don't think we should have universal healthcare point blank, period. But I do believe there should be a public option, right? And then have private companies compete against that public option, right? And there should be some type of control in how they increase the prices of these drugs, because the pharmaceutical companies, all right, have such a grasp on the system right now that they're able to increase the price on drugs unlimitedly. Like there's no limits to the increases they could impose. None. That's crazy. That's nuts. Like, there's no reason that should be it. We should be able to have pharmaceutical companies here compete with pharmaceutical companies from outside of the U.S. All right. I thought that we're supposed to do like when I say that, people are like, "Oh, you socialist." That's actually capitalism, right? Like when I'm saying let's have more competition, in terms of pharmaceutical companies here competing with other pharmaceutical companies, right? Or the pharmaceutical industry outside of the country in a way, right? Let's say like from Canada and stuff like that, where they do have regulations and caps on how much you could raise drug prices. Once you get them to compete with them, prices will drop and the consumer will pay less, right? That's just the truth, right? So that's just what I think, right? Now, do I believe that the government should cover every single little thing as far as like if you need Tylenol, like I have a headache, like no, we shouldn't be buying Tylenol and Advil for everybody, okay? If you have a cold and okay, you need to get a prescription medicine and something like that. This is not large enough of an issue to me anyway. Like that's something that you kind of, unless it's been over a certain amount of days or it becomes life threatening. That's a different situation, right? But outside of needing to go to an ER or something like that, we just don't need to put people in debt, man. Okay, there's no reason we should put people in an MRI and they're in debt for the rest of their life because they took an MRI. Like that's just unnecessary. All right, and look, there's going to be people on the right. They're going to say I'm crazy and what do you mean a public option, socialism, and all this other crap, right? And then you're going to have people on the left that are going to say, no, we got to do universal health care, like all across the board. Like, I think there needs to be a hybrid system. That's what I think. And no, that's not what Obamacare is. All right. That's not what Obamacare is at all. All right. That's what I think. All right. I don't believe anyone should go bankrupt because they got sick. I just don't. I just honestly don't believe that. All right. And before somebody says, "Oh, come on," even though I'm not advocating for full universal health care, okay, or Medicare for all, I think there should be a public option similar to Medicare. Okay, so I'm just making that people understand here. If we do, like when people are like, "Well, this doesn't work," it's our system doesn't work. All right. The system we have right now does not work. What are you guys talking about? It's a horrible system. It's a horrible system. We pay the highest prices than anyone in the fucking world for prescription drugs. How in the fuck does that work? And it's not run in a free market sense. It's not. So people that believe in the free market, the pharmaceutical companies have full control of our healthcare system. How the fuck is that a free market? It's not, right? It's all a charade. So at the end of the day, right, these private insurance companies have a full grasp of our system and have the politicians bought out. They have them all bought out. So the way I see it is a hybrid system with a public option will work. And for people to say, well, that can't be done, right? Look, man, not that it's a full hybrid system, but universal healthcare, it works in England, Canada, okay, Finland, Denmark, all right? Like this idea that Canada, like, oh, it's never been done. It's just not true. It's just not true. Stop believing the nonsense that you hear. It's not true. Okay? I would say those are some of the main issues that make me a progressive. You know, those are some of the main issues. So that's that. Let me see if I can just pull up the chat here. Let me see. Define the term progressive, says Pierre Desalines. Well, look, I mean, I could always go to a dictionary and just read that shit off, but that's not what I'm going to do, okay? To me, a progressive is literally what it means, right? To progress forward, right? That's what it means. I also believe it's about acknowledging that in this society, we're all, to a certain degree, as cliche as it's going to sound, like we're all kind of in it together. And in order to move forward as a society and improve our society, we need to make certain changes in order to improve the society. I'll just put it that way. QuestX says, "Hey, myself and my lady are driving home. Just got your notification. This is of the true future," he says, brother. All right. Pierre says, they are, bro. Really hope. 8 to 10. A dude who loves to smoke weed on the weekends and grow for him and his neighbors should not be put in the same place where there are murders and rapists. No, I agree. I agree with that. Theo style Roosevelt. Right. Pierre DStyle. Canada just legalized it. Oh, did they? Weed, I think you're referring to. 8 to 10, weed as the gateway drug has been debunked, yet you still hear that argument. I don't know anyone who doesn't smoke weed or try drugs because it's not legal. Yeah, I know. Pierre says, but Batista, how are you going to pay for that? Mike says, I'm for weed legalization, but I think smoking in general is a harmful activity. Inhaling smoke is harmful. I got you, man. Look, I don't smoke weed, so I'm not coming from I'm a weed head perspective or anything like that. But it should be decriminalized. 8 to 10. Wouldn't the access of higher education for most of the population create a more qualified job force? Yes, of course. And then we wouldn't have to be getting immigrants to fill in those job posts, right? We wouldn't have to do that. Request says the government spends on wars and development of weapons trillions of dollars a year. That money can be spent on people giving them free education and healthcare. I agree. 8 to 10. That kills me. Some schools want to change slaves to something like involuntary immigrants. Yeah, wait. That's the response I hear whenever you say free tuition or universal healthcare. Mike 104. My 55-year-old teammate asked me how much tuition was for SJSU. It's $8,000 a year, not including housing, food, and books. He said for him, UCLA was $300 per year. Wow. What's counting inflation? That'll be kind of like maybe like 2,000 today, something like that. 8 to 10. There's a huge population that is in deep college loan debt. Yep. Pierce says, how are you going to pay for that? Now my stance is we get out of these legal fucking conflicts overseas and use that fund here in the U.S. I agree. Prince says America is hurting because they don't invest in their own people. 8 to 10. Is anyone in the chat from outside the U.S.? Prince says America has to get the best people from other countries to compete. Cholopa says no money for its citizens, but plenty of money for military spending and foreign governments. Pierce says, how does Jeff Bezos sleep at night? Look, I don't know. I don't know how some people sleep at night, to be honest with you. But some people, I think, they sleep kind of comfortably for some reason. Look, the only good thing about the recent military budget increase is the following. Okay, I think it exposed a lot of people. Like in fact, the military-industrial complex in general exposes a lot of people, right? So first of all, you cannot claim to be a fiscal conservative Yet before what was already the military budget. The military budget was already blown up. But then to have a $82 billion increase on top of that, which they always go over budget by a couple $100 million. So you got to add that to the equation as well. Okay. And then not only that, be fiscal conservative it's about being responsible and give an $82 billion increase to the Department of Defense, in which, by the way, has not been audited in almost a century. So that's one type of people that it exposes to no end, right? Not to mention how it's adding to the deficit, which is being increased by Donald Trump, not decreased. Donald Trump said he was going to eliminate the debt. I mean, forget the deficit. He was going to eliminate the debt, right? Well, so much for that. Okay. So much for that. The deficit is increasing, which is adding to the debt, right? The deficit is different, right? But look. So it's exposing those type of, like, that's the one type people would expose, right? It also exposes small government people, right? Which is basically, we're talking about the same people, right? Like, you're for small government, yet the force that would, like, if there was ever a government takeover of the people, right? What do you think they would use, right? Like let's say they were going to take away all your guns, right? Like, who do you think they're going to use to take away your guns? Now, I want you to take a wild guess. You think they're going to show up in suits like the politicians and ask nicely or something? If there's ever like a police state in this country, who's going to cause that police state? The police and the military, right? Yet these small government people flaunt over, not all of them in fairness, but they flaunt over the whole Blue Lives Matter movement. Cops are never wrong. Okay, they want less regulation, or maybe regulation is the wrong word, but they want less, criticism and auditing of people in power, right? Like, we're not going to audit the Pentagon. We're not going to, we're going to give them more money. It's going to go unchecked. Okay. It's basically, it's a blank check for the Pentagon, right? Police, they get caught on camera shooting people that are unarmed. We're going to defend that to no end. Okay. Police are never wrong. We got to take the word of the cop. The cop's always right. Cops have a right to beat up somebody that's already handcuffed. They should take the law into their own hands, and this, that, a third. People that are for small government are people supporting all this. I mean, that's insane. I mean, just think about it for a moment. Like, it's like this idea. So you're for small government. You're about keeping the people, keeping power, right? And keeping the government small enough to where people can check that government. Yet you want the most powerful force that can, like the military, to go unchecked, unaudited, right? You want them to just be free to do whatever they want. It's, as long as it's not being done to you, you're perfectly fine with it, is what you're saying. Because it's not being done to you yet. Right? So like right now, and this goes back to George Bush. It continued with Obama, and then it's gotten worse under Trump, right? In some aspects. So right now, the United States government, right, has given itself clearance to go anywhere in the world in the name of fighting terrorism and drop bombs, right? It's given itself authority to do that. Now, most people don't realize that. Like, it's not normal for outside of since 2002 or 2001, I should say. It's not normal, right, for us to be in multiple countries dropping bombs and there be no media coverage about it whatsoever. That's not a normal thing outside of the last few years, of the last almost 2 decades. It wasn't a normal thing. And now it's escalating. We're doing all these drone strikes, and we're escalating that. We're killing innocent civilians across the globe. This force, this huge force that is the military, right, is carrying multiple operations. And here's a scary thought. And most people don't know this, all right? And this was actually under Obama that this happened. And the terrible precedent that this can cause is unparalleled. So if, and I forgot the name of the guy, but the United States government had this terrorist that was wanted, right? This terrorist happened to be an American citizen, right? Now, the United States claimed that he was a terrorist, so he was at large, right? So what should we do, right? What's the right thing to do? When a terrorist is at large, he's an American citizen. Well, we should capture that guy, take him to trial, innocent before proven guilty, right? You would think. And then find him guilty with a jury of his peers and lock his ass up. Justice is served, right? Because in this country, we are innocent until proven guilty. Why? Because we don't want to give the government supreme authority on who is guilty and who is not. We don't want to go back to the days of the kings when the king would say, this guy's guilty, lock him up for life, right? There's certain quote-unquote rights that we have, right, or we should, like speedy trial. You know, like there's many things we should have. Now, the Obama administration, okay, with a drone, now killed this guy. They targeted and they killed this guy, and I believe it was his daughter that they killed as well. So, look, I understand that maybe let's say, given the Obama administration the benefit of the doubt, and from what I've read, it looks like he was a terrorist, right? And so somebody might say, well, then what's the problem, DStyle? They found a terrorist and they killed him, right? Aside from the innocent people that they killed, aside from that, right? Apparently that doesn't matter, right? Aside from that obvious thing. So you're telling me, right, that the United States government has given itself authority to determine when someone is a terrorist or is not a terrorist, right? And if they determine that you're a terrorist, you have no right to a trial. None. No right to a trial whatsoever. That's crazy. So what's stopping the United States government from determining that protesters are terrorists, right? And that word's just thrown around. Oh, that guy's a terrorist. We got to get him. So you don't get a trial, okay? You don't get anything. That's setting a pretty bad precedent, right? But people that are all for small government, keeping, they don't want the government getting too big and this, that, and the third, are all for this crap. They're all for this. Now, I do know this. It's technically a president should not have the authority to just send troops anywhere to start bombing people, all right? Technically, that's not the way it should work. Okay, a president should have authorization from Congress in order to declare war, right, on another nation. Now, the argument always is, well, it's not a nation. I mean, they're fighting ISIS. It's different. Like it's the point is, the last time I remember they got authorization was in Iraq. Okay, that's the last time I remember, right? But with that said, we're living in scary times, right? And I do believe that the progressive cause is being hurt right now with the misrepresentations of it. Okay, so you have people out there that have these ideas. I'll use that word very loosely, ideas, but they're out here, masquerading as progressives and hijacking the progressive cause, right? Um, whether it's intentional or not, probably not intentional, but people that go out are out here talking about there's 32 different genders, and if somebody feels they're a man, they're a woman, they should be able to use the women's restroom, and things like that are really hurting the progressive cause. Because it's like we're trying to move our society forward, but these radical ideas, like truly radical ideas, like the ones I just mentioned, right, are being, kind of looked at by people that instead of listening to the idea about their kids getting free college and everybody being covered in our healthcare system, and it's having a living wage for everyone. It's instead of that, we're talking about issues that shouldn't really be an issue, right? I mean, the idea, to me anyway, right? And maybe to a lot of liberals, this is gonna, be, I just don't care what they think, but I honestly don't believe that, we should be ashamed of, or, well, let me reword that. We shouldn't be, I just don't believe we have a choice on what gender we are. Okay, I'm sorry, right? That's just not like an issue I'm going to champion. I'm not. Okay, it's because I just don't believe in that. I just don't. It doesn't mean that I'm against someone who, look, if you want to have a sex change, I mean, if you like, by all means, do whatever you want to do, right? I just don't believe that since you feel that way, and since you're making that personal choice, that now you should be able to walk into a woman's restroom all of a sudden, right? And they should be okay with it, or they're bigots, right? It doesn't mean that if you, as a man, decide to turn yourself into a woman because you feel you're a woman, and by all means, feel however you want to feel, do whatever you want to do. It doesn't mean that if I'm not attracted to you or I want nothing to do with you, because to me you're still a man, that somehow makes me a bigot, right? And I do feel like a lot of these specific issues, right, like the ones I'm just mentioning right now, are hijacking the progressive cause, and they're being masqueraded as progressive, and that's and it's not. If anything, it's regressive. And look, I hate the term regressive and all that, because I know who uses it. Like, don't get me wrong, right? But I'm trying to, move our society forward is what I'm trying to do, right? Like if look, I'm not somebody. Look, I don't care what somebody does. Look, if you want to be gay, man, do your thing. I don't give a shit. Okay, I just don't. It's I don't care about that. Like when I say everyone should have a living wage, that includes you too. Okay. When I say everybody should have their healthcare covered, that's you too, right? Now, Grant. Now, another thing I wanted to, since I'm speaking about this and healthcare, right? Like, I think it should be prioritized. So there's actually liberals that champion the thought of we should cover the sex changes of men that want to become women. They feel they're a woman. Okay, they have a right to have that covered. See, stuff like that is the reason why people are hesitant, to just champion the progressive cause, because of stuff like that. Like, no, okay, we shouldn't spend money on taxpayer money on that. Okay, if you have the money to do it, knock yourself out. Okay, but we should cover someone who has leukemia, bruh. Okay, like that's who you should cover. Okay, not someone who wants a sex change. Okay, and I agree. They're trying to normalize this. You know, that's what they're doing, and they're injecting themselves into the progressive cause. Okay, because it always happens. Like I always hear, like it's kind of like I'll see like just people on TV, right? It's oh yeah, we're progressive, and we support free college. Yeah, we support free healthcare for everybody. Woo! We support, these are already controversial issues. We're already trying to convince people on this. I mean, we're trying to just start conversations with people about this shit. Look, I'm just trying to get people to at least, even if you don't agree with me, at least see where I'm coming from with this. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to do. And then it's just start saying shit, and we need to start supporting our transgender community and stop discriminating them. And I'm just thinking to myself, what does this have to do with what we're trying to accomplish? And then they'll accuse me, by the way, of being hateful and bigoted, and that's not at all my. It's not that intent always matters, but that's not my intent here. I'm trying to move society forward here. Okay, I'm not trying to, normalize behavior that just isn't normal. Okay, that's not my idea of it. It doesn't mean I'm against it. See, there's a difference, and I think people kind of. And I'll repeat: if you want to have a sex change and you want to do all that, by all means, knock yourself out. It doesn't mean I don't think you should go to the same restaurants I go to. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can't go take a whiz in the same restaurant that I do. Okay, it just means I don't want you to go to my girlfriend's restaurant. That's all it means. Right. So it just, I don't want to stop you from doing anything I'm able to do. Right. If I'm advocating a living wage for myself and everybody else, okay, you're entitled to it too. So I'm not trying to exclude anybody from anything. I don't even have a problem with gays getting married, man. I don't even care about that. Whatever, right? They pay taxes, they do their thing, by all means. What I have an issue with, okay, is normalizing the thought of, oh, this guy feels he's a woman, he should be able to use a women's restroom. Stuff like that is kind of hurting the cause, right? It just is. Oh, and then they try to guilt trip you. Oh, but DStyle, you know how many transgenders kill themselves? Like, I'm very sorry to hear that. But at the end of the day, it's, what does that have to do with our cause? So because I'm sure like this are a lot of them killing themselves and at a higher percentage in other groups. Yes. But keep in mind, they're a small portion of the population. Okay. And I'm sure that something's not right up there. Okay. Like, I'm just being honest. I think there's something not right. And it has a lot to do as to why some of them kill themselves. Right. I'm sure that has something to do with it. I think these people are confused. I think they're confused. I think I don't want to judge anybody, but that's I think that has a lot to do with it. But with that said, when you have college kids that want to have safe spaces and just stuff like that, man, it's stuff that is frustrating. Because then every liberal, every progressive gets labeled that way. It's just what it is. Let's see here. What else can I read? Let me scroll up here. Yeah, I'll do a video about that, Prince White Charmin. Grape Trank. Also, homosexuality is not normal. Progressives are shoving it down children's throats. That's another thing. And I actually agree with that, right? There's no reason why kids should be in elementary school, okay, or kindergarten, reading books about a gay couple, or a gay king, or The shit like that just gets on my fucking nerves, man. Right? Did anyone see that TED Talks about pedophilia? Wow. They're trying to normalize it. That's crazy. I haven't read much about that, to be honest. Good Jank, bro. Here in Canada, you can get a sex change with tax dollars. And look, I'm a firm believer that that's Canada's problem. But it's just my opinion. That's wrong, right? That's a waste of resources, in my opinion, right? It's my opinion. I mean, just think about it. It's kind of like if let's say I go to my doctor and I say, "Bro, I feel black." And he's like, "Wait, what?" Yeah, I feel black. I think, can you blacken my skin and let's have taxpayers pay for it? People would say I'm crazy. People would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What are you dumb? Like what?" That's what people would say. But when it comes to a sex change, like it's starting to get normalized. Like people are like, "Yeah, hey, you have to have some empathy, okay? He feels like he's a woman, okay? In his heart, he feels like." What are you guys talking about? Like, there's no feelings involved, okay? Like, what's like the heart is an organ, right? Like, if we want to get technical about it, that pumps blood. Like, it doesn't tell you whether you're man or woman, okay? Like this idea, like, oh, in his heart he feels that. What are you guys talking about? Like, what? This is a very confused individual that apparently maybe does have a high suicide rate. Right. First of all, I haven't seen any data of when they finally have the sex change that the suicide rate goes down. Right. And I know, yes, and I've been told things like, "Hey, you don't understand. It's the violence against transgenders is higher than any other group and stuff like that." Now, I haven't done like my research on that, so I can't confirm that. But this I will say, okay. One, if a transgender person is walking down the street, do I believe somebody should just walk up to them and just start beating them up? No, right? I'm against that. Like, beating somebody up for no reason should not be a thing. But people are surprised when like heterosexual males say, "Look, man, if I think somebody's a woman and then I find out they're a man while we're making out or something like that, I'm going to beat the shit out of them." And then people act shocked. Like, "Oh my God. Do you know the violence that first of all, it would happen a lot less if you were honest about who you were." That's number one. Okay. Number two, it's, to me, it's sexual assault what you're doing, right? And yes, a heterosexual male is going to defend himself from that sexual assault, is what he's going to do. And people act shocked. They're like, "Oh my God." Like, I'm just saying. All right. If a man feels like a dolphin, the government should pay for his transspecial surgery. But yeah, Great Drank. I mean, I don't know how you personally feel about it, but I don't think, I don't even know how most Canadians feel about it, but maybe they're scared of opening their mouths about it. But I just don't think that should be covered by taxpayer money. That's my opinion. Hang me later. That South Park episode was brilliant. This is White Charmin. All right. Prince White Charmin DStyle. What do you think of conservatives who get foaming at the mouth angry when they hear the word socialism? Well, they don't understand what it is, and they've been conditioned to believe all this, right? The most common thing. Well, look, by the way, just to be clear, DStyle is not a socialist. Okay. I'm not for socialism. All right. That's not what I'm for. It in its pure sense, it doesn't work. Right. But I do believe in a hybrid capitalism, a system with capitalism and some socialism in it. That's what I do believe in. Um, but as far as people just hear socialism in any way, shape, or form, right? Like a democratic socialist doesn't make you a socialist, right? But a lot of people just they just hear the word socialism and they start talking about they go on these rants about Venezuela and like all this other shit. Um, I don't think we should run the country the way Venezuela does, right? I mean, I don't think we should have a dictator, okay, or I don't think we should have rigged elections like Venezuela does, and that's obviously not what I want, you know. But a lot of it just has to do with ignorant people. I mean, what can you do? Age of 10, I don't think you can choose your sex. I agree. At 10, there are people who feel like a woman one day and then a man one day, right? And they demand you to recognize them how they feel. This is amazing. No, I want everybody to think about that, right? Now think about that for a second. This honestly, the bathroom thing it should not be controversial. It shouldn't even be an argument. The bathroom literally is so you could throw your fluids and your shit, okay, in the toilet. Like, that's all it's for. And wash your hands and get out. That's what, at least in the men's restaurant. I know women, you know, they take for who I don't know what are women doing in the restaurant. Like what so sometimes I think like they're just I don't know, are they doing their makeup again? I don't know. But anyway. The idea is still the same, right? You know what would make I would think this is what would make me a bigot, okay? Let's say, all right, that a man was gay, right? Let's just say hypothetically, right? And I know that he's gay, right? Let's put aside my feelings on because my honest opinion is I don't care that he is, right? But let's say I go to a restroom and I start to take a leak, and then he comes in and he starts to take a leak as well, right? Let's just say. And then, then I tell him, hey, if you ever come to this restroom again, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. All he was doing is minding those business, like taking a whiz. That's it. And I start threatening to beat his ass. And how dare you come to the women's restroom? Huh? You want to fuck guys? Or why don't you go to the women's restroom, you piece of shit? Right? That would make me a bigot. You would think, right? Let's say, right, let's say there's a dude that feels he's a woman, but he needs to do the restroom. So he goes to the restroom where it's more practical for him to use because they literally have stalls in the restroom specifically for men with penises. So it's just a lot faster, more practical, right? So you could just take a leak right there. So he decides to use their restroom, and then I start to tell him he doesn't belong in his restroom. What are you doing in his restroom, piece of shit? The fuck out of here. Okay, that would make me a bigot. Okay? Telling him, hey, no. Like, just think about this, right? Me telling a man, hey, bro, you can't go to the women's restroom. You got to go to the same restroom all the other guys use. Okay? You got to come to this restroom. Right? Just think about the nonsense of how that makes me a bigot. Like, just start thinking about that. That is that's stupid, right? Just are you a social democrat? I wouldn't necessarily classify myself as that. No. Natural women. I have children. I have children. Born a woman. Yeah. Like how this whole feeling thing would make sense. Like if we had the ability, right, to, what? I feel like I'm a woman. And like some magic would happen and you would literally turn into a woman. Like you wouldn't have a penis anymore. Okay. You have ovaries. You could get pregnant. Like if that was, until that happens, okay, you can't just say that you're a woman. Okay. Like one of these days, I swear to God, police are going to be after, they're going to be going after a suspect, right? Suspect's going eastbound, white male, right? And they're going to have that like on tape, right? They're going to put in the jury, right? The prosecutor's going to be like, oh, yeah, look, right here, the police identified him. They said he was a 6 foot tall white male and blah, 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 and this and that, right? And the lawyer's going to get up, be like, first of all, I don't know what the prosecutor's talking about. My client's been a woman since he was 6 years old. He's felt like a woman his whole life. The police said that they saw a male. My client's a female. Yeah, well, you're right. Yeah, watch that shit really pass in court, okay? All right, well, while the jury turns around and sees a plain sight fucking male, okay, sitting down in the fucking courtroom. Venezuela condition is more due to corrupt and bad policy. Yep. Prince White Charmani's right-wingers pretend that Norway, Sweden, Finland don't exist and just mention Venezuela. That's true. Also, Costa Rica is quite socialist and a very stable country. Mike 104, women going to the restroom on a date is the equivalent of a timeout in the NFL. Right. AJ10, Costa Rica is the most stable country in Central America. Well, that's like saying you're the world's tallest midget, but I got you. I feel you. Great Frank, a girl in one of my classes wanted me to address her as a male when she clearly looked like a female. We live in weird times. Wow. Age of 10. For me, a woman is a woman being with a womb. All right. There you go. But anyway, I know I kind of trailed off and started talking about other things, but I just felt that I put some of my thoughts out there. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how I feel about these things. And I think a lot of people feel just like me, by the way. There is many people, right, that are, let's say, there's people that are pro-gun, right? And maybe pro-gun's a wrong word, but they're pro, like, people being able to have guns, right? But they don't like the NRA, like, you know, or they have issues with some of these gun nuts, you know, and don't have fetishes with their guns on Facebook and stuff like that, you know. And I think there's a lot of people like that, and you know, I think there's a lot of people that want free college for their kids. Okay, for everybody else's kids, for the country, you know, but issues like transgenders using the same restroom just pushes them away from joining the cause, you know, like there's people that want some form of universal health care or some hybrid system with a public option, but they don't join the progressive cause because of some other nonsense issues, right? Like it's that are hijacking the movement, you know. But that's me, you know what I mean? Like I believe in the Second Amendment, right? Like I think it's a good amendment. I think it's misinterpreted by a lot of these gun nuts, right? But I'm not one of those liberals. I think we should confiscate all the guns and, you know, nobody should have a gun. There's no reason for anybody to have a gun ever. Like, no, I'm not one of those people, you know? So this, I think there's a lot of broad brush, you know, painting going on, a lot of labels being put on people. And it's like, in order for me to be for free college and universal health care in any way, shape, or form, I need to also be for transgenders using the same restroom. Like, no. You don't have to be for that. Right? At all. Right? It's just like if you want to be a libertarian, right? Or a fiscal conservative, you don't have to be a religious nut. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't believe in the separation of church and state and at the same time be a conservative. You know, but it seems like and look, the two-party system has a lot to do with this. Okay, the two-party system has the bulk of the blame for this, right? But it's. I just feel like too many people are not even listening to the other side because they see certain things that just they find appalling, right? So I think there's a lot of liberals that won't listen to anything, that people that are pro-gun have to say, even the ones that are sensible, right? Because they picture like everyone who was for the right to bear arms in some way is NRA affiliated and love the fact that kids are getting shot and killed, and and then you have conservatives that honestly believe that every progressive believes that there's 37 sexes and wants transgenders to use women's restrooms, and it's. I think everyone should be their own individual. Okay, and the last topic I want to talk about is abortion. Right, I'm not apologetic at all with the issue of abortion. I used to be real careful with the way I said things, but I'm just not anymore. All right, look, I am for the most part pro-choice. Okay, now just because I'm pro-choice doesn't mean I'm for pre-birth abortion. There's just certain. I think Roe versus Wade has it right. Okay, I don't think government should pay for abortions. That's already the law. Okay, I don't think that we should have pre-birth abortions. It's. But to me, once the baby already is developing nerves and things like that, I'm against abortion unless it's the life of the mother. But at the end of the day, right, like it's a lot of people try to make themselves the moral authority when it comes to abortion, right? And it's like, oh, well, I believe that the moment of conception is life, right? Well, that's what you believe, okay? So like you're saying the moment the dude nutted in the woman, that's it. Like there's a third person in the room, according to you, right? I don't believe that, okay? And you believing that is on you. Like that's your belief, okay? But when like it used to be common for people that were pro-life, by the way, it used to be common for them to also add on that they're okay with abortion if there's rape. You know what I mean? Like you have people now that argue that even if the woman gets raped, like she should carry the baby. Like even if she's raped, like are you shitting me? Do you know the trauma that can go that rape causes people, and then you want her to carry the seed of a rapist inside of her? Are you serious? Where if no, they're against them taking the Plan B pill, right? They're against that. Oh, abortion pills. Oh, how dare they do that? I know she got raped, but like, what are you like? Really? These people have been brainwashed to believe these talking points, okay, by religious zealots. I mean, that's what's happened, right? That's definitely what's happened. Now, the ironic part is many of these pro-life people, they don't give a shit about the lives of the people we're bombing in other countries, okay? And the words of George Carlin, and once you're born, they don't give a shit about you. And the unborn, they care all day. You know what I mean? But all these people, man, it's all fake outrage. Like when I hear people say things like, "Oh man, we're murdering hundreds of millions of babies every year in this country," or whatever they say, right? These people, they never shed tears for this. Okay, they don't like. Come on now, all right? Are you kidding me? Like it's just The Overton window has been shifted so far right in this issue that you have people advocating that even if the woman is raped, that she should be forced to carry that baby for 9 months. Like, I mean, this is crazy. To me, that's crazy. I'm sorry. Right? No offense to anybody who believes that, but that's out of bounds for me. Right? DStyle, what do you think of Costa Rica hosting a World Cup? And they could do it. Why not? They're the most stable country in Central America. YouTube won't like this discussion, DStyle, says Great Drink. Mike 104. Pro Second Amendment doesn't mean pro gun organizations or gun nerds. Yeah, I agree. That's truer words have never been spoken. AJ10, growing up, the left and the right had clear difference. Now the extreme right and extreme left is taking it to new levels. I agree. DStyle sitting nutted, said Joe Lopez 40 ounce. I was just trying to put it in perspective, you know. Okay, Trank, abortion is just a topic that will always be talked about, but will never be resolved. Yeah, and then not only that, right? Like people will go to the polls voting on the topic of abortion. You know what I mean? Like as if they're doing something. That's the part that disgusts me the most, right? Like, we have all these issues, and you have people that, oh, well, why are you here voting, madam? I am voting, you know, because I'm here to protect life. I want to stop these liberals from killing our babies, you know, and they're out here voting for this, right? That's what they vote on. While politicians are pillaging the place, right? They're pillaging the place, and that's what they're voting on. That's what their whole everything, the whole, like they're concentrated on just that. You know, like, this shit's crazy. AJ10, what I don't get is these pro-life people who are against killing innocent babies, but they don't say shit about women and children getting bombed in these foreign countries by American drones. They don't say anything, right? And these are conscious people. These people that are alive and know what life is, and they have nerves. Okay, they feel pain, they feel anguish, right? And they understand what's going on, and they're seeing their loved ones limb for limb getting blown up, incinerated, right? You know what? One of the saddest stories I ever heard, you know, this kid in the Middle East, okay, talking about how he looks forward to rainy days. He loves it when it's thundering outside and raining, and the cloud is dark, the clouds are dark and everything. Is when he's most at peace, because it's when the skies are blue, when the bombs fall. Just think about that. But they don't care about that, right? And then the worst part, right? The same people, right, are the same ones that are like on Fox News, like, or getting interviewed by the news stations about the kids that are being separated by their families, right? And then they're like, oh, the children, oh, everybody, I don't, well, that's what they get for coming here legally, and they're trying to say, oh, the children. It's all projection with them, okay? This whole abortion thing is about control. Is what it is. That's all it is, okay? Poor people that can't afford them, like other people, right? Okay, have to go to clinics to get assistance, and all right, and the government cannot subsidize that, by the way, all right? So they get assistance so they can get an abortion, right? So this is where you see all these religious nuts. Okay, they stand on the doors of outside. They stand outside the doors of clinics, calling women whores and all this shit, passing all this judgment. You know how many the people even understand how many pastors, okay, how many right-wing politicians have been exposed, paying mistresses to get abortions? They're fucking hypocrites. Okay, I'm not saying there's not people out there that can genuinely be pro-life, but a vast majority of them are hypocrites, right? Speaking of religious zealots, okay, the most disgusting ones, all right, are the ones that go to like third world countries and tell them to not use condoms during sex because God's against it. when there's AIDS being fucking spread all over the place. Those are the most disgusting. All right. All right, let's see here. Mike 104, Theo style Roosevelt. Doesn't the military budget increase really tell us who runs this country? Defense contractors and large corporations will buy any politician no matter who it is. You know what? And I almost forgot to mention this, guys. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen this story, but let me see who pulled up the story. Let me see here really quick. Give me a moment. I promise you it's good. Right? All right, let's see. ISIS, guys. Okay? I'm going to read this right now, okay? The Independent. Shout out to the UK news organization, The Independent, by the way. All right? Who exposed this story. By the way, CNN right now, there's are they talking about this? No. Is MSNBC talking about it? No. No, nobody's talking about it. Right? Look at this. Readers, a small detective story. Note down this number. MFG space BGM dash 71E 1B. And this number, stock number 1410-01-300-0254. And this code, DAA space A01 space C-0292. I found all these numerals printed on the side of a spent missile casing lying in the basement of a bombed out Islamist base in eastern Aleppo last year. At the top were the words Hughes Aircraft Company, founded in California back in the 1930s by the infamous Howard Hughes and sold in 1997 to Raytheon, a massive U.S. defense contractor whose profits last year came to $23.35 billion. Shareholders include the Bank of America and Deutsche Bank. Raytheon's Middle East offices can be found in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, Israel, Egypt, Turkey, and Kuwait. Translation. What the fuck is ISIS doing with weapons from our military contractors? And the only reason they found this because these are strongholds, okay, that were taken over by the Syrian government. Now, this isn't a shocker to me. I've been telling people for years that we're funding ISIS, all right? That's what we're doing, okay? We are funding ISIS right now. They have bombs from our military contractors that we pay. Now, I'm not saying that the United States government hands the bombs directly to ISIS, right? That's not how it works. But they're indirectly getting it from us. Now, the media is not covering this at all. Can you just imagine if the media actually talked about this? Hey, there's these weapons. We're not sure what it means, but we want to get to the bottom of it. Let's get some Pentagon officials here so they can kind of explain what's going on. When you trace the serial numbers, it all comes back to a military contractor that works for the United States government. It's not just that. It's the weapons. It's at the end of the day, this is sad, right? This is sad. Um, am I shocked that we directly or indirectly um, arm the same people we call terrorists? Does it shock me? No. All right. Does it shock me that the only way this kind of gets out there is because the Syrian government put out these strongholds? The same Syrian government, by the way, that conveniently the United States government was saying was gassing its own people, and that war hawks in the Pentagon have been pushing for regime change for quite a while now. You know, it's crazy. You know, I mean, it's just this. Theodore Roosevelt, Theo DStyle Roosevelt, doesn't the military budget increase really let us know? I read that part. Great, Trank. What the fuck is the USA doing in the Middle East, anyways? Looking for terrorists is not their main objective. Well, I mean, like you're from Canada, right? So it's kind of like weird. So why are we over there? It's just not weird here. It's just been accepted that we're in the Middle East, right? Um, but yeah, we're definitely doing more than just that. I agree with you. AG10, I think the Netherlands allows abortions up to 24 months. Mike 104, America always sells arms. We supply both sides of the conflict. Big business supersedes patriotism. All right, says HA10. Oh, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I know that, Michael 104, but you know, it's crazy that a military contractor that has investors like Bank of America, okay, is arming ISIS. I mean, that is insane. Okay. By the way, like, if Obama was president right now, Alex Jones would be all over this, right? Like he'll be all over this. See, we told you the CIA is arming. Like you know, it's. What's weird is that now that Trump's president, a lot of these like right wing kind of, you know, independent media that used to expose a lot of this isn't exposing it anymore. Kind of quiet about it. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Been here a while, but thanks for those that joined me here. All right. I'm out, guys. Peace.